Okay, so let me tell you a little story. EA and DICE send me an email through a third-party marketing firm to ask me if I'd like to take part in something that I had to sign an NDA for. It ended up being a media thing that they were doing for 3 days before the official release of Battlefield 2042 for the early access folks tomorrow on the 12th of November. So I signed the NDA and I say I'd love to participate in it. They end up not sending me credentials to be able to participate in the media event. And when I inquired about it, I got crickets. So I didn't get to participate in it. But at the end of it, this morning, I had an email from the guys over at EA thanking me for participating in the media event, which, again, if you're following, I didn't do, along with all of the presentation materials that they did for all of the different Battlefield modes, one of which obviously was Hazard Zone. For those of you that are unfamiliar with my content and haven't seen anything that I've done before, I generate content primarily about Escape from Tarkov, a game that is spiritually first, superior to, in many, many different ways, whatever it is this arcaded version of Battlefield's Hazard Zone is that is trying to be somewhat akin to that of Escape from Tarkov as a game. So as a parallel, I thought it would be interesting, and my plan was, in participating in this media thing, which again, I didn't get to do, would be to do Hazard Zone as much as I could and then record it, and then when the embargo lifted this morning at 6 a.m., I was going to release a video that talked about all things related to Hazard Zone. But we don't get to do that. Since they sent me the media kit, though, I do have an awful lot of information about Hazard Zone that I do want to share with you guys that I think will be relevant to whether or not you guys end up ultimately diving in on Battlefield 2042 tomorrow. So, let's talk about Hazard Zone. Now, since I can't use any of the footage, even though the embargo has been lifted, since I can't use any of the footage that was provided to me during the presentation because they marked it as confidential, instead, I'm just going to run the trailer for Battlefield 2042 on loop insofar as Hazard Zone is concerned. But here's the basic background and all of the stuff going on during this briefing that I was able to notice. First, the backstory. Satellites around the globe are reduced by 70%, so data transmission is extremely limited. Therefore, intelligence is being stored on data drives and they're being dropped into the Hazard Zone, and your squad, which is comprised of 4 players, are tasked with obtaining these data drives and then extracting with them within the specified time limit. There's a storm coming, I guess, and it's going to wipe out the area and all of the players. Now, for this, if you're able to succeed and extract, you are rewarded with currency that allows you to upgrade your loadouts. Now, there are 2 timed extractions that occur at different points during this raid, with groups of players dropping in at the start. On the map for PC, Xbox X and S, and PS5, it is 32 players. PS4 and Xbone is 24. Each one of these extractions that are designated as E1 or E2 are one-time use and are announced shortly before the exact extraction zone shows up. So only one squad can take the extraction, and then it's gone. It is very possible that people will miss these extractions altogether. People could get stranded. No one could end up taking the extraction. But in order for you and your team to get credit, one person has to be on the plane, dropship, whatever, and get out of the raid instance. If that happens, then everyone gets rewarded based on however many data drives that one person was able to extract with. In Escape from Tarkov, you are a PMC operator, and you get to fashion yourself however you see fit. If you want to bring meds, you get to bring meds. If you want to bring a super awesome gun, bring a super awesome gun. If you only want to go in with a pistol, you can only go in with a pistol. But everyone is pretty much created equal in Tarkov. In Hazard Zone, people are not created equal. This is a class-based system of specialists that have defined roles and their own special use abilities. Squads can only have one of each type of these specialists from the list. Now, there's a big list. You can only be a team of 4, and each one of you picks whatever specialist you're going to use. So that way you can't stack certain classes. So, for example, Irish has a spotting drone. McKay has a grappling hook. Falk has a curette pistol that shoots healing darts. Sundance has a wingsuit. Angel resupplies ammo, and there are others, etc. There is a signal scanner that is a unique gadget for Hazard Zone that tracks the location of the data drives. It tracks the data drive even after it's been picked up by someone else. So it can be used to track where other squads are located if they've retrieved a data drive and are working toward an extract. So you can use it to hunt other players if they've picked up data drives. This gadget is free and is selected by default for every one of your specialists. If you don't want to bring it, don't bring it, but it's a good idea to have at least one of your characters, one of the people that are in your squad, to have one of these. Other gadgets include things like a redeploy beacon. So for instance, if you die, one of your squad mates can issue a redeploy order for you using this beacon, but again, this takes up a gadget slot. Otherwise, if you die, you stay dead, and you end up in spectate mode watching over the shoulder of whichever one of your squad mates you choose. If you miss the first extract, you then work toward the second extract, and it seems like there is a large amount of convergence, obviously, that happens on these points. The second phase, or the phase of time between the first extract and the second extract, seems to have significantly more data drive availability. In-map objectives such as additional redeploy gadgets can also be found as you travel. Your HUD, when you end up making a scan, will tell you if you've been scanned or marked by opponent scanners, if you're carrying a data drive, for instance. All gadgets and upgrades end up costing dark market credits, which is the Hazard Zone currency. So you're going to buy optics for your weapons or better armor or additional ammo or different gadgets, etc., etc., etc. All of those things cost dark market credits, and you spend them at the beginning of each round. Each data drive is worth dark market credits. Credits can also be earned by killing other AI and other players. By the way, there is an AI element on this Hazard Zone mode map. It seems like they tend to congregate around where the data drive drops are located, so you end up fighting small squads of AI. They don't appear to be the most difficult things in the world, but this, along with the other players, do appear to be pretty spongy. They're taking like 15 rounds of 308 before they get dropped. So I would assume to have this feel very similar to how Warzone feels in terms of the sponginess. For these credits, you can also buy boosts to your character, not just like ammo and stuff. You can also get things like insider information, which shows the crash locations of the satellites before they crash. You can get Intel storage devices, which increase your data drive carrying capacity to 5 instead of 3. You can also get a buff for bonus credits for killing other AI players, 50% more credits for data drives if you extract with them, etc. Now, this presentation was kind of going overboard on reiterating this idea of survival above everything. And there were a couple of different examples of this. They would repeatedly say things like the objective is not to kill, but to extract with as many data drives as possible. And there's also a mechanic called extraction streaks, which gives you a bonus based on how many times in a row you have been able to survive with a specific specialist. So multiple survives of a raid in a row with each one of these specialists gives bonus credits. These end up resetting to 0 if you die, with high extraction streaks giving discounts on those dark market credit purchases. So inside of the game mode, the scanner ended up looking very much like an NVG monocle and put like a move to marker on the screen on your HUD. The AI looks very tough and very spongy, not a very low TTK, time to kill on the opponents at all. Raid instances do seem varied. Like one is a desert, another's a jungle tropical setting with a shipping dock. Turns out that all of these instances, all of the maps, are the same maps that you would have for all-out warfare. So there's 7 maps available for Hazard Zone, which are the same as the all-out warfare maps. And lastly, the raid instances are a lot shorter than what Tarkov's raid instances are. Tarkov's instances run like factory is 20 minutes, but most of them are 30, 35, 40 minutes. So while this is apparently trying to be some arcade-ish spiritual successor to Tarkov, it is still much faster paced than what Tarkov is. It's slower paced than I think what we're going to see in like all-out warfare game modes, which tend to be much more of a meat grinder with the spawn camping and that kind of stuff. In this mode, it seems as though it is a bit slower, but still 10 to 12 minutes, you're still moving really fast. It also appears that you get to keep your gear if you survive, thus the streak idea. If you die, you get back to basics with a base kit, and then you're spending currency to buy whatever your loadout improvements are. Things like the boosts, though, look as though the like 50% for more data drive credits and that kind of stuff is probably just one-time use as a gamble for that one run. But obviously, we'll have to see once the game goes live. I'm not sold on it based on this presentation. I really am looking forward to playing it tomorrow, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. But this description and what it was that I saw, and knowing that the instances are only 10 to 12 minutes long, otherwise you end up failing and not surviving on the extract side of things, and that the time to kill seems like it's a bit longer than how Tarkov is. I don't know. I'm sure like the movement guys might actually like this. This might be like a good arcadey alternative for the guys that prefer to be much more on the W key side of things. I prefer a little bit more of like a tactical approach to how I play Tarkov, and I like the slower pace myself because I like the setups and I like the suspense and the audio cues and that kind of thing. And the specialist stuff is a little bit more interesting. I could see how a coordinated team would be able to do pretty well in this. I gravitated much more toward how the Cycle Frontier did it with a 6-hour-long persistent instance where people were dropping in constantly, and then you had like loot respawning that created a much more dynamic environment, allowed people to kind of stick it out a little bit more. Something like this, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to really fly. I guess we'll have to see. I'm looking forward to it. Going to be playing live tomorrow for sure as soon as the servers are up. They go live at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you'll probably see me somewhere around like maybe 4 to 5 a.m., and then I got to bring my son to school, and then I'll be back. But you guys don't care about any of that. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you soon. Peace.